In Japan, for roughly 9 centuries, people brushed a solution of iron filings and vinegar onto their teeth on purpose, and the result was considered correct. The custom has a name: Ohaguro, the blackening of the teeth. The record places it from the 10th century until the late 19th, most popular across the long stretch between the Heian and Edo periods, and it belonged mainly to married women, along with some men, almost always members of the aristocracy or the samurai class. Read: a modern face and black teeth suggest decay or neglect. In that world, they suggested something closer to the finished, deliberate version of an adult. The reason is not mysterious, and it is not sinister. 2 motives ran side by side. Japanese society of that period preferred black teeth, so the look was desirable on its own terms, and the blackening was also understood as good for the mouth. The account describes the coating as acting like a dental sealant, holding off tooth decay. A beauty standard and a protective layer applied in the same gesture. That overlap is the part most viewers do not expect, and it is the part that explains why the custom lasted as long as it did. Start with the materials, because they are ordinary. Iron filings are what is left behind when metal is worked. Vinegar sits in a kitchen. Combine them and you get a dark liquid that stains, and the stain is what went onto the teeth. There is no rare pigment here, no imported luxury, no guarded formula. The recipe is the kind of thing a household can keep on hand. That matters for how we read the practice. A custom built from cheap, available ingredients does not need a supply chain to survive. It needs only a reason to keep doing it. Modern assumptions push hard in the opposite direction. White teeth feel less like a preference than a fact about health, something the body itself is asking for. Brightness reads as youth, darkness reads as damage. The Ohaguro record makes that reflex look narrower than it feels. For centuries, in a society with its own dense codes of rank and appearance, the desirable mouth was a dark one, and the people maintaining it were not the poor or the excluded. They were the aristocracy and the warrior class, the households most able to signal exactly what they wanted to signal. It is worth being precise about what the evidence gives us and what it does not. There is no inventor here, no founding moment, no single decree that started it. What survives is a window and a population. The custom is documented in Japan from the 10th century onward, especially popular between the Heian and Edo periods, and practiced mainly by married women, with some men also taking part. Anyone who tells you the exact year, the first face, or the original motive is filling a gap the record leaves open. The honest version is a long, well-attested habit whose beginning is not pinned down. The health claim deserves the same care. What the record states is that the practice was considered beneficial because the blackening prevented tooth decay by acting as a dental sealant. That is a historical description of how the custom was understood and what it was believed to do, not a dental recommendation, and nothing here should be read as advice about anyone's teeth today. But take the description seriously as history, and something interesting appears. Before modern dentistry, prevention meant whatever a person could apply themselves repeatedly, with materials already in reach. A sealing coat over the tooth surface is a recognizable strategy. The color was the visible part. The barrier was the working part. Japan was not the only place where teeth were deliberately darkened. Blackening was a known and widespread practice in southeastern China and in Southeast Asia as well, using different recipes. Different regions, different ingredients, the same basic decision about what a mouth should look like. What the record does not settle is the relationship between them. Whether these practices share a single origin, spread along contact routes, or developed separately from local materials is not something the available evidence resolves. The safe statement is the geographic one. Tooth blackening was regional, not a single national eccentricity, and the recipes varied by place. So a custom with aesthetic weight, class prestige, a believed health function, and a wide regional footprint. Then it ends. The turning point in the record is the Meiji Period and the opening of the country to Western customs. That is when Ohaguro begins to disappear, and the description of that disappearance is a specific one. Gradual. Not banned overnight, not abandoned in a single season. The word the record uses points to erosion rather than prohibition, which is a different mechanism and a slower one. Notice what that mechanism implies. The custom did not fail on its own terms. Nothing in the account says the coating stopped working, or that the ingredients ran short, or that people inside the practice concluded it was a mistake. What changed was the surrounding world. New standards of appearance arrived alongside everything else that arrived, and a look that had been legible for 900 years began to read differently. A practice can be internally coherent and still lose if the frame it is judged in gets replaced. The believed health benefit did not save it either. That is the quietest finding in the record and the sharpest one. A protective function was part of why the custom was valued, and the custom still went away once its appearance stopped fitting. Function alone does not keep a habit alive. A habit stays alive while it remains readable to the people around it, and readability is the thing the Meiji period changed. What survives today is a split. The aim survived. Sealing the tooth surface to hold off decay is still the logic behind a great deal of ordinary dental care, and the modern materials do that job without changing the color the way iron and vinegar did. The look did not survive. The dark, deliberate mouth that once marked a married woman of rank now exists mainly as documentation, a custom with a name attached to a period rather than a practice anyone maintains. The word outlasted the thing. That is the residue worth holding on to. When we look at a period portrait and read blackened teeth as damage, we are applying a standard that arrived late and won fast. The people in those households were not confused about their own bodies. They were operating inside a working system where dark teeth meant maturity, marriage, status, and care, and where the same act was believed to protect the tooth underneath. Every part of that made sense together. Which leaves one question the evidence can actually answer at the level it supports. Why did people paint their teeth black on purpose? Because in their society, black teeth were preferred, and because the blackening was understood to guard against decay. Two reasons. One gesture, sustained for roughly 900 years by materials anyone could obtain. And why did it stop? Not because the reasons collapsed, but because the country opened, the standard of appearance shifted, and the custom faded out under the new frame rather than being argued out of existence. The uncomfortable part is how transferable that is. The custom did not need to be wrong to end. It only needed to stop matching what the surrounding world expected a mouth to look like. Every grooming habit we treat as obvious sits in the same position, held up by a frame we did not choose and rarely examine. Ohaguro is not a curiosity about someone else's strange taste. It is a record of how quickly a standard can turn into a symptom, and of how little the reasons behind a practice protect it once the frame moves.